Hey guys, in this video we're going to be checking out the top 5 best CPU in this year. I made this list based on my personal opinion and hours of research, and I've listed them based on quality, durability, price, and more. I've included options for every type of consumer, so if you're looking for the best value per dollar or the best product money can buy, we'll have the product for you. If you want more information and updated pricing on the products mentioned, be sure to check the links in the description down below. Okay, so let's get started with the video. Number 1, AMD Ryzen 33200G. The first CPU on our list isn't even technically a CPU. Rather, it is an APU, an accelerated processing unit, a type of processor made by AMD which features both CPU and GPU cores, making it a rather balanced jack-of-all-trades type of processor. The Ryzen 33200G is a quad-core solution that comes with a total of 8 Vega graphics cores, which makes it a solid pick for gamers who are on a very tight budget and who might not be able to afford a dedicated GPU. Our thoughts about this CPU. The Ryzen 33200G is based on the 12nm Zen Plus architecture that the second-generation Ryzen CPUs used, so it's not quite on the same level as the latest 7nm Zen 2 CPUs. Still, for such an affordable APU, it has a lot of bases covered. It has only 4 cores and no multithreading, which is a bit of a downside in a 2019 processor, but it makes up for this with the aforementioned Vega graphics cores which easily blow all of Intel's integrated graphics solutions out of the water. Still, it cannot come close to the performance of a dedicated GPU, so it's only really an option for esports or other less demanding games. Furthermore, like all other Ryzen CPUs and APUs, it is unlocked, and a stock cooler ships with the processor. In this case, it's the Wraith Stealth, a compact and quiet cooler that should be able to meet your performance requirements. Now, a jack of all trades is a master of none, and that is especially true when it comes to budget-friendly processors. The 4 cores will inevitably get strained with modern games, and the now outdated architecture makes it a bit of a dubious long-term investment. Nonetheless, the Ryzen 33200G is the go-to solution for gamers who are pinching pennies and who aren't overly ambitious when it comes to performance. If you fall into this group, then this APU and its excellent integrated graphics may just prove to be well worth the investment. Number 2, AMD Ryzen 5 3600. Kicking off the second category, we have another Ryzen CPU, the Ryzen 5 3600, which could very well be the best mid-range gaming CPU available at the moment. It has 6 cores and a total of 12 threads, and more importantly, it uses the latest 7nm Zen 2 architecture, all of which adds up to make one excellent processor that handles both single and multi-threaded tasks well, all the while remaining power efficient and cost efficient. Our thoughts about the CPU. As stated in the introduction, the Ryzen 5 3600 is part of the latest lineup of Ryzen processors based on the brand new Zen 2 7nm architecture. Not only that, but these new CPUs still use the AM4 socket, so upgrading from an older Ryzen or upgrading to a newer one further down the line won't be an issue. In the performance department, this 6-core 12-thread CPU can handle virtually anything that you can throw at it, at least as far as gaming is concerned. Add to that the power-efficient architecture, the fact that the CPU is unlocked, and that it comes at a fairly approachable price, and it's not difficult to see why it's one of the best, if not the best, mid-range gaming CPU that you can get right now. The only real drawback to the Ryzen 5 3600 is the area where Intel CPUs still have the lead, and it's overclocking. Namely, while this CPU is unlocked and can be overclocked for some extra performance, there isn't as much overclocking headroom available as with some of Intel's offerings. The CPU also ships with a Wraith Stealth cooler, which isn't exactly the greatest option when it comes to heavy workloads. Nonetheless, it's convenient to have if you don't intend on getting a more advanced cooler anyway. Number 3, Intel Core i5-9600K. And now, in the Intel corner, we have the i5-9600K, another 9th-generation Coffee Lake-based CPU, which is a solid mid-range offering from Intel. Though it doesn't quite shine compared to the above Ryzen model. The i5-9600K is a hexa-core CPU, and sadly, it doesn't feature hyper-threading. However, it is unlocked and can reach some considerable clock speeds when paired with a proper cooler. This ultimately makes it a viable mid-range option, despite the fact that AMD seems to have the upper hand on paper. Our thoughts about this CPU. As mentioned above, the i5-9600K doesn't seem like much competition for the Ryzen 5, which has twice as many threads and is based on a newer architecture, but its single-core performance and overclocking potential help make up for it. Naturally, a hexa-core Intel CPU without hyperthreading cannot quite compete with a 12-thread AMD CPU when it comes to multitasking, but the i5-9600K already has somewhat better single-core performance out of the box, something that can be further amplified by pairing it up with a good cooler. Still, even with overclocking taken into account, the i5-9600K has some drawbacks, mainly the multi-core performance, the somewhat higher power consumption, and the fact that it is more expensive than the competition, which delivers better value on almost all fronts. All in all, what we said about the i3-9100F largely holds true for the i5-9600K as well. It uses an outdated 14 nanometers architecture which is about to be superseded by a superior one, so getting this CPU now may not be a good idea. Number 4, Intel Core i7-9700K. Next, we have the closest competitor of the Ryzen 7 3700X, the Intel Core i7-9700K. And just like the Ryzen 7 3700X is a step up from the Ryzen 5 3600, so the i7-9700K is a step up from the i5-9600K. It features a total of 8 cores but, sadly, still doesn't feature hyperthreading. And just like its mid-range counterpart, this CPU boasts some considerable overclocking potential. Our thoughts about this CPU. There's no denying it, the Intel Core i7-9700K is a serious and powerful CPU, but again, what we have said about the i5-9600K also largely applies here. With 8 physical cores, the i7-9700K offers great multi-core performance while maintaining the lead that it has over AMD's lineup when it comes to single-core tasks, so it's nothing to scoff at. More importantly, the overclocking potential is what really makes this processor worthwhile, though this means that you will also have to invest in some quality cooling, too. Overall, this CPU is probably one of the better purchases that you can make when it comes to Intel's current lineup. Granted, the Ryzen 7 3700X may seem more appealing due to the fact that it's slightly cheaper and comes with a good stock cooler, but the performance potential of this i7 model is something worth taking into account, especially if you truly need a high-performance CPU. 5. AMD Ryzen 9 3900X. With the penultimate entry, we get to the really good stuff, starting with the awesome Ryzen 9 3900X. This model represents AMD's first real attempt in years to truly take on Intel in the high-end enthusiast territory when it comes to regular desktop PCs, and is it a good one? This Zen 2 CPU boasts a massive thread count, with 12 physical cores and 24 threads, offering near unmatched multi-core performance, as far as mainstream desktop processors are concerned. Our thoughts about this CPU. The Ryzen 9 3900X is hands down the epitome of why AMD has been doing so well these past few years. We're looking at a CPU which comes at a competitive price but offers better value for your money on most fronts. As we have already established with the more affordable models, what AMD does well is remarkable multi-threaded performance and great overall value for your money. And if you're looking for a CPU that would also be used for some demanding professional software and not just gaming, then the 3900X just might be the thing for you. Furthermore, just like the Ryzen 7 3700X, the 3900X ships with the Wraith Prism RGB cooler, which means you won't necessarily have to spend extra on a third-party cooler. But of course, the same general shortcomings that apply to Ryzen CPUs at the moment also apply to this one, i.e. its single-core performance lags behind the competition. There isn't as much overclocking headroom as with Intel. More importantly, the 3900X is currently in high demand, so it might be difficult to find one at a reasonable price.
Thanks for watching, and I hope you liked the video. If you found the video helpful, please remember to thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to see more videos like this in the future. If you have any questions related to these products, you can leave a comment below and I will get back to you as soon as I can.